Well, we're wrapping up what appears to have been a good weekend for a good chunk of the East. Not all of it, but most of it. And now we look forward to what looks like a really quiet weather pattern in the eastern states overall. And we'll talk about that. It's not going to be perfectly quiet, but we'll give it a go in a bit. Rain and snow up in the Pacific Northwest, maybe some rain in parts of the Southeast, and we have potential tropical cyclone 15 in the East Central Caribbean. All of that is coming up right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware. Our friends are at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. It's southwest Suffolk County on Long Island, and they're getting ready for winter, and so should you, as Long Island's largest supplier of rock salt has plenty in stock to make sure that if it snows and if you get some ice, you'll be able to clean it up. Meanwhile, if your yard needs some mulch, some topsoil, or you might need some supplies to get yourself through some adverse weather, like maybe a new generator or a sump pump, head over to Omni. 631-756-1125 is the telephone number, and they have the best prices anywhere. And the website is
OmniTrueValue.com on a Sunday night at 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
Joe.
it feels a little odd, particularly after I had some friends over for dinner today. So it was one of those things where you ate well and then all you want to do is take a nap. And I had to clean up and all the rest of it. But I drank a little bit of coffee about an hour ago, so it's giving me a slight boost. And yes, I know it's my Christmas tree that's behind me. It's been there all year. It'll be there right through Christmas. I've decorated early, pretty much. So how was your day?
They're already running on Hallmark Channel Christmas episodes, Christmas movies. I do believe that not a few radio stations on Tuesday will begin broadcasting 24/7 Christmas music. So, Joe, you're a little ahead of the pack, but now it's going to be, you have a Christmas tree up now. It's perfectly reasonable because Christmas is getting, or at least preparing for Christmas, is getting earlier and earlier and earlier.
Is it me? It just seems like the time goes by. I mean, I know as you get older, time does go by faster. Okay, and I get that, but I think for everybody, it seems like time just goes by faster. Everybody's got so much to do that all of a sudden you're just overwhelmed by everything. So yeah, it might seem early to have your Christmas stuff up right after Halloween, but you know what? With everything you have to do, people working two jobs or whatever they're doing, you can't really blame them too much.
In 2005, I had the great honor of being added to the Rockefeller Center Christmas show. They had a scene in that particular show that year where Santa Claus is rushing about on the stage, wondering what he's going to have to do first or whatever. And then all of a sudden he stops and says, "Wait a minute, I have to check the weather for Christmas Eve." And he runs off the stage. The huge screen at Radio City Music Hall comes down, and then all of the weather people in the New York metropolitan area appeared on the screen. Of course, some larger.
Wait. This was in 2005?
Yes.
Okay, not all of the weather people in New York City were on there, but let's.
I'm sorry.
Let's make that clear. Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yes.
Some of us were not asked to do that, but go on.
Yeah.
Not that we're bitter.
Well, this will make you feel good, Joe. Is the fact that the biggest part of the screen was occupied by people like Al Roker and
literally,
the big stars of weather, while the rest of us, like for example Bill Corbell and I, they created something that looked like a Brady Bunch box, tic-tac-toe box, and I think Bill was in one end and I was in the other, and we were on. Literally, you had not to blink, because if you blinked, you might have missed both of us. But all of us were singing, "What is Christmas Without No Snow?" And we were giving the impression that well, actually, all the weather forecasters gave in their own way a forecast on Christmas of no snow. No, it's not going to snow. No, I remember I did a bit where I said, oh, unfortunately, high pressure's off the coast, a southerly flow. It's going to bring in too much mild air. It's not going to be mild enough. It might rain, but it certainly is not going to snow and everything. And all of a sudden, in the midst of all of us saying that it's definitely not going to snow, and we then began to break out into a song, What is Christmas Without Snow? What is Christmas? All of a sudden, snowflakes start falling from the sea. It starts descending from the top of Radio City down on everybody, down on the audience. And it turned out that it did snow, in spite of the fact that all the weather people were telling people it wasn't going to snow. The only reason I bring this up is that everybody who participated in this presentation were given free tickets. And I remember with me, I got 100 tickets to distribute, and it was not actually on the docket as a show, as a main show. In other words, it was not during the regular season. This was the day after Halloween in 2005, and it was a dress rehearsal, which still worked out to be pretty much the way the show actually would be for everybody who came during the Christmas season to see it. But it was a dress rehearsal, and Matilda Cuomo, Mario Cuomo's wife, gave like this speech at the very beginning, welcoming everybody and saying Christmas is right around the corner. But anyway, this was the day after Halloween, and there was the big Christmas show in Rockefeller Center, and I again had a chance, very, very small, minute part of it, but still, I mean, it was a thrill just to see on the big screen at Rockefeller at Radio City, to see, yours truly up there for however short an interval of time, and gave me a chance also to invite all family, friends, the pastor from my church, down to, hey, you want to go see the Christmas show at Radio City? And they were damn good seats. I mean, they put us all the way up front. There must have been orchestra seats. It probably would have cost quite a bit for the regular audience, but it was a lot of fun.
Good.
And that was again right the day after Halloween. So it's not too early, Joe. Your Christmas tree is up. You're in fine fettle.
I'm way ahead of the game.
Yes.
All right, good. All right. And always remember, Joe, there are no small parts, only small actors. And
you're ahead of me because I don't even have a Christmas tree this year. We had a Christmas tree for 20 some odd years, and last year at the end of Christmas, Renata said, we got to get rid of this tree. We got to get a new tree. So it went into the garbage, and we have yet to, and I've already seen the tree that she has her eyes on that has like 9,572,500 LED lights, which spin and whirl and blink and whatever. So that's going to become a part of our life in the coming weeks ahead.
Brandon Doherty hitting super chat tonight from the get-go. Thank you, Brandon. And he says, do you have the tree on the other side of the room? It looks like it's in a different spot. No, it's in the same spot. I may have moved it back about a foot or so because I had to make room for my my avocado trees, which I brought in from outside. I've got 3 of them in pots, and they're sitting next to the big bear, which sits between the 2 avocado trees. So, no, it's pretty much in the same place that it has been. Why don't we, what are you doing? Joe, what are you doing? What's he doing? What are you doing?
Joe, you gotta. I have to apologize.
You didn't charge your
battery is running down. There we go. There we go. Finally. Stupid prong into the bottom of the headphones.
I might suggest that you plug your mic in after the show so that it's charged, rather than wait for the battery to completely run down.
I honestly thought that I had more than enough power, more than enough energy for this evening's show. So my apologies.
Okay. And on that note, let us now advance over to the satellite. I would say let us pray, but that's not going to help us right at the moment. So let's go to the satellite loop. I'm going to get my little face out of the shot here so that you can see everything clearly. And as you look at what's out to the west, at least from the standpoint of the satellite, and if you didn't know what else was going on, you'd look at that and you'd say, uh-oh, here comes a big system. But it looks far worse than it actually is. Some high clouds are approaching. Had a really nice day in the northeast and mid-Atlantic states. You made it up into the 60s today, correct?
I believe so. It's 50 degrees or thereabouts right now. And our morning low, by the way, 32. Yesterday morning, 33. And so far, the coldest temperatures here have been 31. We had them back to back, not last week, but the week before. So we have been flirting with temperatures in and around the freezing mark over the last couple of weeks. But it's also been, at times, rather unseasonably so, unseasonably mild. And we had one of those days today when temperatures indeed went up to about 68, Joe.
Wow,
68
nice.
was our high today. So
well,
from the executive producer.
I didn't get out of the 50s today because we were overcast all day long here, and you could see on the satellite that there was pretty solid cloud cover in the southeastern U.S. And you look at this, you look at this loop, and the one thing that comes to mind is the fact that there seems to be a little bit of a traffic jam here because you've got this low that is sitting well offshore, east of the Virginia, North Carolina coast. It really isn't going very far. You have this next system that's approaching, but it's losing its upper air support. So I don't know how much. I'm not so sure how much rain you're going to wind up seeing in the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic states with this. And then, of course, you take a look at on the lower right, we have you can see the top of what is potential tropical cyclone 15. Other than this particular system that is moving out of the southern plains and weakening as it moves up to the northeast, there isn't really a whole lot that's going to be happening this week from what I saw.
Well, I mean, if we don't get, any precipitation, then that'll be good news for the ghouls and goblins and ghosts and all who will be tracking around in the late afternoon and early evening hours tomorrow night. So it may not be quite so bad. It looked like for a time last week that there was going to be some pretty good showers around by nightfall, but that doesn't really look like it's going to be the case now, aside from maybe a few hits or a few spits here and there. It looks like just basically a cloudy and overcast sky tomorrow night.
And as we check out the radar at the moment, give you a quick, nice view here of the full east. You take a look at the signature on the radar with this system in the Midwest and going back into the middle Mississippi Valley. It's kind of this sprawling mess. You've got these bands of showers with large gaps in between and not making a whole lot of eastward progress. I did not think that there would be any rain during the daytime tomorrow for much of eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, and I continue to stand by that idea that maybe we'll get some rain tomorrow night into Tuesday morning, and maybe a couple of lingering shower after that. Even so, it just doesn't look like the type of setup that's going to produce very much.
No, it doesn't. There's not all that much to write home about with this, and again, mild temperatures. I mean, the overall pattern is going to be for these next few days, actually maybe for the next week or 10 days, above normal temperatures here in the east, and especially so in the northeast. So, it may not, from time to time, it may not be exactly all that sunny out there, but we certainly are going to be looking at a spell of rather mild temperatures for, again, a number of days to come.
Yeah, I certainly think for this week and into next weekend. After that, I'm not so sure yet. And then there's a couple. I have my own reasons. By the way, we do have the beginnings of a loaded system coming in to the Pacific Northwest with heavy rain, and our friends at WPC is they're forecasting, continuing to forecast several to many inches from northernmost California all the way up into, well, on the coast anyway, all the way up western Oregon, western Washington State. A lot of precip, and also a lot of precip on the other side of the Cascades as well. When you go into eastern Washington and into western Montana, and some of that is going to be in the white form of the white stuff. Now, this is for the next 72 hours. We have WPC showing a rather extensive area of 50% or higher probability of at least 2 inches, covering a large portion of western Montana, northern Idaho, and back through parts of Oregon, and even down and through the Sierra Nevadas in California. I'm going to take a jump here to the probability of at least 8. And the greens are 20 to 30% probability, so it's not, it's not a lot of snow here that we're talking about. But of course, it's just the end of October and not the end of November. But we might see a little bit more on top of this later on in the week. This is our forecast takes us out here through Wednesday evening. So before we get to looking at the regular weather, I want to figure this might be a good time to take a look at potential tropical cyclone 15. And that is in the Caribbean. You see it, the loop's got to load up here. But it has gotten better defined as we went through the day. The circulation there is a low, and it's a rather broad low. But it was enough for NHC to put up tropical storm warnings for the Cayman Islands and for, I believe they've got, well, before I double speak, my memory is not as good as it used to be, so I'm going to have to go back and take a look. But we're going to watch to see if there's going to be any kind of thunderstorm development around what is the center. Right now, we're not really seeing too much happening. The position on this from the Hurricane Center is 15.7 north, 73.6 west. Maximum sustained winds are 40 miles an hour, moving west-northwest at 10. And they have tropical storm watches for Jamaica and for the Cayman Islands. And you notice on the Hurricane Center's forecast that they have this becoming a hurricane as it moves generally west-northwest and then turns more westerly and even south of west, going inland somewhere in Belize. And Joe, there's just general model agreement here. You're going to have a ridge building across the east and also back through the Gulf states and into Texas. So that's going to be a brick wall. I really don't see any weakness here in the flow that would cause you to think that maybe this thing might turn more northerly and go through the Yucatan Channel, say. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, let's go step by step. I mean, the thing is not yet even a named storm. Now, this would be what? This would be Lisa?
This would be Lisa.
Yes.
This would be the Category 5 hurricane that the GFS had last week, going into Puerto Rico. Now, and I bring this up, by the way, in all seriousness. I bring this up because I think when you look at the long range of the GFS, particularly after 7 days, I would be really cautious about what the pattern is going to look like across North America, because a lot of what it was doing was predicated on tropical cyclone development in the Caribbean and in the Atlantic over the next 2 weeks that the European model doesn't have, and frankly may not happen. And I'll go back. I noticed this. I believe this was either on the night run last night. It just did this really weird thing, Joe. Maybe it wasn't the night run. Let me take a look. I'm just going to run through it. Yeah, this was it. Okay, so take a look at this. This is from the standpoint of the upper air. Now, you and I have been around a long time, okay?
Right.
I don't ever remember seeing a cutoff low forming in Virginia and North Carolina, dropping off the coast of of North and South Carolina, which is fine. That's we've seen happen. But then from there, it took it south into the Bahamas, into Cuba, and over the Dominican Republic at the same time. All right. While all this is going on, you have, of course, this system becoming some kind of tropical cyclone and going into Belize. And if you look really closely on this loop of the 500 millibar, you can kind of see its reflection as that tiny little circle that's approaching Belize there. And then as it drops this cutoff, all of a sudden it makes a hurricane that starts out near Panama and runs up northeast and then gets caught by the cutoff and gets whipped around over the Dominican Republic and into the Bahamas. I mean, I looked at that and I was like, that's no, that's not going to happen. Not like that. I've never seen anything quite like it. And the reason why it's important is because if you're going to have the model show lower than normal pressures all through this region down here, okay? If this is all lower than normal pressures, well, guess what? You're going to have a big ridge to the north of that. And I think that the GFS has just been doing this, I would call it silliness with the way it's been handling the tropics the last couple of weeks, and I think it's been impacting the overall upper air. So I would be cautious with whatever it does beyond 7 or 8 days, more so than you otherwise would be.
It is a rather unorthodox um, type of setup, a rather unusual pattern. But of course, for the last couple of years, we've been saying that the GFS seemingly has been ahead of, let's say, the European model in terms of picking up on tropical storm. I mean, we've had a case, more than a case, several cases, where the GFS has been showing a rather significant tropical storm, and the European had virtually nothing to show. So I don't know if this is just an artifact of all of that, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then I was looking at the day run. I just ran through the 18Z run, which is, again, dropping this down to like Cuba and the Dominican Republic and Jamaica, this upper low, and you've got as a result a big ridge that builds late this week and next weekend in the east. I can kind of accept the big ridge in the east at the end of the week, but then after that, at least on the 12Z run, which I thought made a little more sense. The GFS didn't really go crazy with all this tropical nonsense across the Caribbean, and as a result, the ridge ultimately gets flattened out. What was interesting to me was the appearance of this. On the European has this big upper high that builds across the northeast Pacific and into western Canada, Joe. This is a negative EPO signal here that we're seeing. This would be for late next week, not this week that's starting today.
Not this week.
Right.
Yeah.
And that would put us in the range. If you remember, we was talking about maybe we're going to have to deal with this sort of quiet period for a while, and then perhaps around the middle part of November, we would see the pattern turn perhaps significantly colder in the eastern United States. And it is showing a negative East Pacific oscillation signal, which is a cold in the east weather signal, and certainly the 12Z GFS kind of cooperated with that idea, and in fact even developed a developing block up along 40 North, building up toward Greenland. This is a very, very cold look, and the European was kind of on this idea yesterday, and it's on it to a certain extent. We only see out to 10 days, but it's kind of out to this idea as well. Again, if there's going to be tropical cyclone development across the Caribbean over the next 2 weeks, you may have to kiss this idea goodbye, because that's going to favor more ridging in the eastern part of the United States. But I go back to the idea that the GFS has not been good lately. The last month and a half. Well, early in the season, it did it a couple of times where it made these storms in the Caribbean that didn't occur. Now it's doing it again late in the season. So I'm going to be watching that element closely over this coming week.
Okay, well, we'll see what the story is overall with this pattern. But again, our local weather doesn't look all that horrible. We may have some clouds around tomorrow and a touch of precip late tomorrow and tomorrow evening for trick-or-treaters. But really, the rest of the week doesn't look all that bad at all.
You're overly concerned about these sugar fiends that are going to be coming around tomorrow, aren't you?
Actually, Joe, to tell you the gosh honest truth, they were here, when we first moved up to Putnam Valley, and our kids were 20 years younger. So my son was about 11 years old. My daughter was like 8, and a lot of the kids in the neighborhood were of that age too. But now, if all the other kids in the neighborhood are the same age as my kids, they're either in their late 20s or early 30s, and have pretty much moved away. So really, we really don't get anybody at our house for Halloween. I mean, we have a couple of bags of candy just to be on the safe side in case we do get a visitor or two tomorrow. But I'm beginning to bet that, like so many other years, we're just going to be looking out the window and seeing nobody. That's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. And of course, you and I remember when we were living in the Bronx. I mean, the kids were knocking on the door every 5 or 10 seconds. It seems that that's not the case up here today.
Different world.
Yep.
It's a totally different world. By the way, I have my cabin in the woods. No one's going to come near my house. No one. You have to climb a mountain to get here. I am not worth the piece of candy that you would get.
Too spooky.
It is. It is. I just want to go back. Let's just go back to Tropical Cyclone 15. Just give me a second here. Let me get me out of here. Then I'll get you out of here. And there we go. These are the, in case you're wondering what the hurricane tracking models are doing, well, they're all doing the same thing. West-north, they're really none of them are varying very much. They're all tightly clustered, going west-northwest and then turning westerly, moving into Belize, and then maybe crossing Mexico and coming out of the other side as some sort of remnant low. And with respect to intensity guidance, you do have a fair amount of these taking this up to a close to or a Category 1 hurricane. You got a couple of renegades that want to make it a Category 3, which seems a little bit much because they actually have it a hurricane by sometime early Tuesday morning. At least looking at the satellite right now, it doesn't really look all that impressive. But I'll just check to see if there's a recon out there right now. We can do that. There is looks like there's one on the way there. Looks like there's a plane at 17 and 73.4. So there's one headed there. So that's a good thing. Now back to the surface over the next couple of days. I'm going to use the European. What the hey? The one is as good as the other at the moment. Tomorrow should not be an issue. Maybe some showers sneaking in tomorrow night. You see the European has most of the shower activity from northeast Georgia up to Virginia, that kind of noses into New Jersey and Long Island sometime during Monday night into early Tuesday morning. Then it gets out of the way. Still some lingering precip maybe around in the afternoon. It gets better on Wednesday. It looks good for. I kind of think the weather after this system goes by, it should be pretty decent. We might get into one of these stretches, Joe, where you get these long, early November nights where you get clouds and some low clouds and fog that develop, especially in valleys, and then it just burns off and then warms up. I'm thinking maybe Saturday might turn out to be a pretty warm day with more of a west wind if that materializes this coming Saturday. and then not much happens on Sunday. It looks like you got a low that goes to the western lakes. And the European does spread out cold air toward the end of its forecast period. It's got a nice big high coming down and cold air spreading into the east by around the 9th or 10th. A little different than the GFS. The GFS, it takes an extra couple of days to get to the same place. But like I said, if there's no tropical development the way the GFS has it, then maybe the European's going to have, I think, the better idea here, and will be above normal for the next week or so, and then after that we'll start trending back closer to normal, maybe even eventually going a little bit below. I don't know what else to say.
I don't know what else either. As I just noted a little while ago, at least in terms of tropical activity, the GFS and European have been at odds with each other. But the overview, I think, Joe, that we can, I think, all get pretty used to is milder temperatures for at least the next week or so. And then maybe, as you just said, there may be some changes coming to allow for some somewhat chillier air to arrive by the middle part of November. Can't believe November is only 2 days away.
Yeah, you look at the. I'm just looking at in the Pacific Northwest. You know that if you want snow, I mean, you really have to go up to the northern Rockies to find it. Then late this week, the models might try to focus energy a little bit further south with the low coming out of southern Colorado and going into Kansas with maybe some snows in Utah, Wyoming, and western Colorado. Low goes to the lakes. And again, if that negative East Pacific oscillation signal is correct, you're going to start to see colder air spreading out, which, again, the GFS gets there to an extent. The European does it more because if you look here, this is at day 10, for example. The GFS is some kind of tropical system in the Northwest Caribbean. The European doesn't have that. That means that there's ridging still holding on across the Gulf states and off the southeast coast, and that's good. At least in the world of GFS, it holds back the cold air for an extra couple of days. This is again going now around from November 10th on, which has kind of been my time focus from when I mentioned it back over a week ago. So I don't have much else to add tonight, other than the fact that if you're people who follow the Siberian snow cover growth, this is probably one of the slowest growth of snow cover in Siberia for the last 20 years. Now, whether that means anything or not, I don't know.
Our friend Bill Goodman has been posting on his Facebook page and saying that he needs just a little bit more time before he reveals what his thoughts are for the upcoming winter. And he did mention the slow snow growth, but maybe in the next week or two we can get Bill on and have him explain as to why he thinks this is going to be a great winter or not so great winter in terms of snow for all of you snow lovers out there.
Yes, Bill said and when he's done working on it, he promised me that he would debut his information or release his information exclusively here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, because after all, we only do things on this show if they're exclusive to us.
Right, and I guess you waive the introduction fee or the initiation fee.
I've waived the makeup fee. I've waived the cheese platter fee. All those important things that I don't want to pay for. So anyway, the chairman Scott Briller left a cooking Jeopardy segment for us today. So Halloween related, of course, Joe. And is Mrs. Rayo ready to go? Is she?
You're running about 10 or 15 seconds behind, but as I know that she's watching upstairs, and as soon as she hears that, she is going to head down the stairs and into the, as she calls it, the man cave, because this is my place that I'd like to. She's saying something, not on the intercom, and she knows that I can't hear anything. when it's not on the intercom.
Is it something that we could get in trouble with the FCC with? Because if it is,
I don't think.
if it is, she should repeat it live.
I think what she just said, way off in the distance, is I'll be right there, but she has to put her face on or something.
Does anybody ever get in trouble anymore with the FCC? I mean, that just kind of came to my head. When was the last time that you got in trouble? Somebody got in trouble with the FCC?
I don't know. The closest thing I think was when George Carlin's 7 Words You Can't Say on Television was aired by a non-commercial radio station here in New York many, many years ago, and it actually went to the Supreme Court. But hello there. You forgot. She forgot, Joe.
Really?
He forgot.
We're not the sort. No. This is not possible.
All right. All right.
No.
I'm going to switch here.
Forgot.
Hi there.
Hi.
We haven't done this in a long time, but
Yes.
I want to show you Renata today because I had a smart dinner party today with some friends, and you be able to see it on the screen when I put it up. Hello, we're not hearing you. This is why you have to charge your headset. Oh, good Lord. Just a moment, please. Okay, see, now we have to go through this agony now because this man will not charge, instead of plugging in his headset after the show, he just waits till the battery goes down to 0. Oh, God help us. You know what? While he's trying to fix his issue, I'm going to show you.
You're going to talk through that.
Back.
Can you hear us?
I can, but now that you're not on your headsets, I'm getting that horrible "I want to die" feedback in my ear.
It's off.
No, he's when I'm not using my headsets, he gets feedback. All right, so here's what we're going to do.
Oh God, this is so lovely. I hope you folks watching tonight are just enjoying the fact that I'm being tortured here. God. All right. Now he's got her plugged in.
Okay.
Now, Renata, I hear her beautifully.
Okay.
Renata, I'm going to leave it to you that he needs to plug his headset into charge at the end of every show. Okay. Okay. I mean, we're a AA grade operation here. I'd like to be AAA grade.
I know. Yeah,
so I want to show you before we get on with this. But I want to show you today because I had a smart dinner party, and if you've watched the I Love Lucy episode where she bought hostess pants for Ethel for her birthday, but for when she gives smart dinner parties, I wasn't wearing those. But this is my I don't know if you'll be able to see it in a minute, but this was my table. I didn't completely finish setting it when I took this picture, but in that bowl there, wrapped in a beautiful maison en sang napkin was a loaf of bread. I baked 2 loaves of bread, and this is a side view. There's my loaf of bread, one of 2 loaves. It was really strange.
Very nice.
Thank you. It actually came out pretty good. It's a Tuscan loaf. The funny thing was I baked 2 loaves, and I have a clay Dutch oven, a clay pot Dutch oven, and the first loaf was like this. The second loaf came out much darker, which is the one that I'm showing you now, that's in the bowl. even though they were the
Mhm.
same dough and everything else. But and I did everything the same temperature, et cetera, et cetera. But it's one of those cooking mysteries. And then I made baked rigatoni, which you can see here. That little thing of green, that is basil. Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with basil, that's what that is. And here's another side view of my baked rigatoni. And of course, with that, there's the bread again. There's the baked rigatoni again. And this was my sauce that I made with a chuck roast in there, meatballs, baby back ribs, and lamb chops, all in my beautiful sauce.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I'm sure it's tasty.
Tasty. Oh my God, it's going to win awards, dear.
It looks delicious.
People from miles around can smell my sauce. That includes the local wildlife around here. I have to be careful. I got to be careful what I throw out in the trash
Yeah,
tonight.
you don't want any bears knocking at your door.
No. So, tonight we have it's sort of a Halloween cooking
Mhm.
Briller Jeopardy with Renata, and
Okay.
two of the top 10 are very similar. Let's see. So this is a 2022 survey. These are the top 10 candies for children 8 to 13. This is the top
Okay.
the top candies they want. Okay.
They want. Okay.
Now, two of those candies are very similar, and only one of the top 10 is not chocolate. Okay, is not some
Probably,
sort of chocolate.
it's probably Skittles.
No, Skittles is not on there. Believe it or
Not
not.
on there?
No.
That wasn't a good survey.
So let's start naming these 10 top candies for this Halloween.
See, even Miss Fairlight, she agreed with me too. Skittles. All right. Top 10. Reese's peanut butter cups.
Number 1.
Usually. Okay. Snickers.
Number 10.
Snickers on there?
Number 10.
Oh, wow. That was way down on the list. Okay. Let me see. Kit Kats. Would Kit Kats be on the list?
Number 5.
How about Twix?
Number 9.
Number 9. Okay.
Excuse me.
Red Twizzlers.
Nope. Twizzlers is not. That is your first. Your first.
The Twizzlers. Twizzlers wasn't on the list, and then you said Skittles wasn't on the list.
Correct.
All right, because I was looking for that non-candy one. Okay, a non-chocolate one rather. Okay, plain Hershey milk chocolate Hershey bar.
Number 4.
Or would that be would Hershey Kisses also be the one you said is similar?
Number 7.
Okay. Now.
You actually have gotten 7 out of the 10.
7 out of the 10.
I think 6 out of the 10. I'm sorry. You got 10, number 9, number 7, number 5, number 4, and number 1. So that leaves us with number 2, number 3, and number 8. So you got 7 out of number 6. So you've got 6 out of 10 so far.
Okay. Milky Way.
Number 3.
Okay, Milky Way. So I'm still missing number 2 there. Number 2. Must be. Holy mackerel. How about
Same letter.
Three Musketeers.
Nope.
No, not the Three Musketeers. Okay. Same letter? M? You mean M?
Yes. Twice.
M&M's.
M&M's.
How could we forget those funny little guys?
I don't have to hit you over the head. I don't have to hit you over the head with a KitchenAid mixer now, do I? When it comes to these clues. All right, so you got 2 left. Number 6 and number 8.
Okay. And there's still one that's, I guess, would candy corn be the non?
No.
No. So
Um,
there's still one that's not chocolate.
there's still one that's not
It's not
chocolate,
chocolate.
and
All right.
the other
This
one,
is one that.
and the other one is related to the one that you've already mentioned. You know, like Hershey's Kisses in the Hershey chocolate bar. Well,
Okay.
there's another
Oh,
pairing like that.
yeah, like Nestle's Crunch Bar.
No.
No. Only other non-candy one that I can think of, which we never had in my house. I don't think anybody ever really liked it too much, and I don't think it's popular in the Northeast. Actually, is that hot tamales candy?
No.
No,
No. The two things that are left are fairly civilized.
fairly civilized every day. Probably some sort of lollipop then.
No.
No, not a lollipop like the Tootsie Roll Pops or what's the other ones that go on your finger? The ring pops.
No. I'm
Good
looking
grief.
just through the chat board to see if anybody has
Somebody has
mentioning
done it. No, I'm
these
not trying not
two.
to cheat. Help me.
Let's,
What was it? Peppermint patties?
no. Oh, Dennis Cassia. Dennis Cassia gets one of the two. Gummy bears.
Gummy bears. Wow. Yeah.
Okay. So now you've just got one left.
One left.
And that
So
one
many
thing,
candies to choose
that
from.
one thing is similar and has a similar name to something that's already been mentioned. Shall we review what we've gotten so far? And then, so far, we have number 10 Snickers, number 9 Twix, number 8 Reese's. Well, no, that's the one. Number 8 that you didn't mention. I don't think you mentioned it. Reese's Pieces.
Which is what? Oh, no, I didn't mention Reese's Pieces. You know what? I never would have gotten that one.
Right, and that
was never a favorite in our house either.
I think that was the last one. So 7 was Hershey Kisses. 6 is Gummy Bears. 5 was Kit Kat. 4 was the Hershey chocolate bar. 3 was the Milky Way. 2 was M&M's, and 1 was Reese's peanut butter cups. But you still got 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
which is pretty good.
There's like dozens of different candies out there, and on the chat board, they had all kinds. Even Jolly Ranchers. Yeah, or how about those sour ones? Kids love those sour patch things.
God, no.
That wasn't on the list. I'm amazed.
No. Yeah. I guess every year it changes with kids.
And I think it also depends on what part of the country you're asking.
Yeah. I'm just looking at what's on the list. About the only things that I would, I would occasionally might have one would be a Snickers, a Hershey's Kisses, a Hershey chocolate bar. I'm a pretty plain sort of person. M&M's. I used to like Milky Way when I was a kid, but then I think they changed the way they make it. It's not the same.
Yes. Yeah, the chocolate's not the same. Yeah. It's not the same quality chocolate. My favorite still is Mounds, the coconut Mounds.
Mounds, Almond Joy.
And I guess the Reese's peanut butter cup. And of course plain chocolates. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that wraps up. That wraps it up for tonight.
That wraps up this. Yeah. And tomorrow is the Day of the Dead, Halloween. Okay.
Like I told Joe, I have a cabin in the woods. They're gonna have to climb a mountain to get to me. Nobody comes here.
Yeah, nobody comes here either. They only came when we first moved in because our kids were that proper age. But we live on a steep street, and the street goes this way. Our driveway goes this way. Come down to it, and it's long. No, in order to get here, you really have to have a car. Dangerous to walk. So, yeah.
Well, enjoy your rest of your night and enjoy your Halloween tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to come up with something fun, I guess, and we'll see you tomorrow evening. Do you want to talk to Monsieur Rayo
Yes,
once
so
again?
we can say goodbye. Make sure he plugs
Okay.
that. Make sure he plugs that in before we're done,
Joe?
please.
Come say goodnight. I didn't bring the iPad or laptop down with me, so he has no clue what really has transpired.
Okay, good. Keep it that way.
So what have you got in here? Oh, okay. All right. Good night.
Night. In the meantime, I have hickory nuts hitting my roof. Hello. I have hickory nuts hitting my roof. It sounds like, they're dropping softballs on my roof on a regular basis. So we're done for the night. I'm going to watch a little television. I'm guessing the Giants were losing. So I'm going to.
They lost.
They did lose. They were playing a mediocre team, and whenever that happens, especially if you're a team with a winning record like the Giants have, they're going to be gunning for you. So I'm not surprised that they lost. And by the way, Leon Probitsky, a recent super chat hit. Thank you, Leon. Most appreciated as always. And the new advisory on potential tropical cyclone 15 is at 15.8 north, 74.1 west. Top winds is 40 miles per hour. Moving west-northwest at 10. Forecast to become a tropical storm sometime on Monday. So there you have it. So we will see you here tomorrow night at, what time are we on tomorrow night?
7:35, Joe.
Okay, because we've got some schedule changes, and I wrote them down, but I threw that piece of paper away when I was cleaning. So
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we have some changes. But
okay, we'll discuss Thursday off camera, and we'll see everybody tomorrow night at 7:35 7:35 Eastern time. Good night, everybody.
Nighty night, folks.